You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246.
800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with you, along with my co-host, confidant, master of race relations, and jack of all trades, Russ Gallo. Russ, how you doing, pal?
You forgot deplorable, but I'll take it.
Oh, listen, we're both deplorable. I mean, that goes without saying, doesn't it? I thought that went without saying, that because we are on the show, we are deplorable.
Deplorable human beings. Gene, speaking of deplorable, what the hell happened to Donald Trump last night?
The debate I'm referring to. We like to say something about show prep that we talk about on the show all the time. You know, who had good show prep, who had bad show prep. Donald Trump didn't have some good show prep. Now, I got a confession to make. I did not watch the debates. Instead enjoyed my evening.
He was watching Glee.
No, I wasn't watching. Is Glee even still on?
I don't know.
That's how old your pop culture references are.
I heard of it.
I was watching Monday Night Raw, as is my wont on Monday nights since college. So that's what I was doing.
I thought the debate's subtitle was Monday Night Raw,
and I did that because, like I said, I wanted to enjoy my evening, but I also wanted to provide a perspective of someone listening to parts of the debate, the relevant parts at least, for the first time. It's actually called show prep by not show prepping.
Well, fair enough. And actually, I think that we will tonight illustrate what Trump could have done, even with no show prep, in responding to Hillary Clinton's asinine answers.
Indeed we are, pal. And for those of you joining us live on Spreaker, thanks for joining us. You can listen to the show live at www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us under the Listen Live button. Also have a chat room going. We'd love to get your perspective on the debates and who won, who lost, who got screwed, and who should be riding high, and whether it even makes a difference. To be perfectly honest.
We'll take their input in the chat room, but tonight, Gene, is a three-way with Hillary Clinton. Dun, dun, dun.
And where the other two? Good Lord. Okay, so there's certain rules in this three-way. First of all, we all have to move in the same direction, around. And we don't circle the opposite way.
And Gene and I can't touch. Alright, let's get to the show here.
Eyes up at all times.
Baseball.
Alright, so listen, let's get to the obvious one out of the way, because the only one that the Clinton News Network, and that mainstream media have been talking about. And that is the one gotcha moment that Donald Trump did have on Hillary Clinton talking about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Let's play the clip from the Clinton News Network.
That's the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Here's what he had to say tonight.
You called it the gold standard of trade deals. You said it's the finest deal you've ever seen.
No.
And then you heard what I said about it, and all of a sudden you were against it.
So his claim that she flip-flopped on TPP, in fact, that she supported TPP but only reversed after Donald Trump criticized the deal. Hillary Clinton's response was that she only supported it, she said, before she saw all the details, claiming she only hoped the deal was the gold standard. Have a listen.
The facts are, I did say I hoped it would be a good deal, but when it was negotiated, which I was not responsible for, I concluded it wasn't.
So let's look at the facts. As Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton did call the TPP the gold standard. In fact, here is her saying that at an event in Australia in 2012.
This TPP sets the gold standard in trade agreements to open, free, transparent, fair trade the kind of environment that has the rule of law and a level playing field.
You heard it there, sets the gold standard. You'll notice no mention of the word hoping that it sets the gold standard. Our verdict on this, that Donald Trump's accusation is true, that Hillary Clinton did flip-flop on the TPP.
Oh my goodness. They threw him a bone. Hillary, listen, when you have incontrovertible evidence, usually you need an FBI director to get you off on that. But apparently Hillary Clinton couldn't get by with CNN on this TPP comment. Doesn't even matter, though, at this point.
Oh, first of all, I thought TPP had something to do with a toilet bowl.
Yes, bathroom, right? Toilet paper patrol, something like that, right?
But that was Trump's one good zinger, and I came out kind of early in the debate, and I really was looking forward to him being able to counter every one of Hillary's assertions, and he basically didn't. He fell flat on most. And we're going to illustrate some of that tonight. But, Lester Holt, biased debate moderator. I know it seems like a broken record to talk about this.
Are we going to be going after Lester Holt? Be honest.
You almost have to. I know you didn't see the debate, but Trump was asked he was actually asked to outline policies specifically several times. He was asked about the birther issue. He was asked about several things specific to him, including releasing his tax returns.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we're going to be playing some clips on that a little later on as well.
But Hillary was not asked any of them and have never had a single follow-up question to anything she said. So, I mean, in the beginning, I'm going to give Lester Holt a lot of credit. For the first half hour of the debate, awesome. He did exactly what we've said debate moderators should do for the first half hour. 90-minute debate, 30 minutes were good. He asked open-ended questions, and they went back and forth with very few interruptions from the moderator. Very, very few. But then towards the middle to the end of the debate, that's when the bias kicked in. I guess like somebody tapped him on the shoulder and was like, hey, Hillary's going to lose this thing, you better step in. And he did.
And you have a problem with how he stepped in, or do you have a problem with that he stepped in?
Well, I mean, you asked Trump about the birther issue, and you asked Trump about his tax returns. Don't ask Hillary a single question about Benghazi, the Clinton Foundation, the emails. Not a single question came up. The only times the emails ever actually came up was when Donald Trump mentioned them, and it was for maybe 5 minutes of the debate, and it went away, and he never revisited it.
Well,
ever.
Actually, we have a clip of Hillary Clinton's verbose response, let's call it, to questions about her use of a private email server.
I made a mistake using a private email.
That's for sure.
And if I had to do it over again, I would obviously do it differently. But I'm not going to make any excuses. It was a mistake, and I take responsibility for that.
And that was it.
What was the mistake?
That was it. What was the
mistake? Was the mistake putting a private server in your bathroom? Was the mistake sending and receiving classified information? Was the mistake lying about it afterwards? Was the mistake wiping the server clean after Congress subpoenaed it? Donald Trump missed opportunity after opportunity to follow back up. Where was Lester Holt? What was the mistake? You don't let her get away with that.
To Trump's credit, the clip would have gone off. Listen, we're only playing Hillary's side. We're letting Donald speak for himself. If you guys want to go look and find whatever.
We'll speak for Donald.
We're going to speak for Donald tonight. I think Russ hit it on the head in less than 30 seconds. What was the mistake? Let's outline the mistake. There's a difference between, and by the way, setting up a server is not a mistake. That's an intentional action. A mistake would be, oops, I tripped and fell.
Everyone involved with the server pleading the Fifth Amendment and getting some kind of an immunity. Was that a mistake?
Well, the only mistake on that front is what the FBI has done since. But anyway, it's a bone I'm going to pick all night, and I'm digressing a little bit. You know, to me, this is a lack of prep. Trump should have heard some buzzwords. Mistake was one he actually jumped on. I give him credit for that. This was more early on in the debate, I believe.
Yes.
So he was sharper then. It may have been that he got tired or whatever. It seemed like his stamina and his energy level dropped.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, Gene. If you watch the debate when you get a chance, what I think happened to the man was he got knocked off his feet when they hit him on the tax return question. He defended himself for roughly 15 minutes. And then they hit him with the birther question, and he defended himself again for an astonishingly long amount of time. He made, debate mistake number one, where you let your opponent control the debate. Lester Holt didn't even have to ask those questions. Hillary bashed Trump. Trump fell into the trap and just defended himself against that. I would have made quick comments defending and then counterattacked with something else, which we'll outline on some of the idiotic things Clinton said, where he could have easily counterattacked her on all of these things. Instead, he kept going back to his tax returns, talking about he's being audited, blah, blah. End it right there. I'm not going to release the tax return while I'm under audit. End the audit and I'll release the tax returns. And the one line that he did have that was kind of good, but he kept on straying from it, was he said, I'll release my tax returns tonight if Hillary Clinton releases the emails that she erased. And he said that a couple of times and let it go. I would have kept coming back to that every time they brought up the damn tax returns.
Well, it started out, from what I saw and what I listened to in the clips, with a discussion on tax plans, right? It started talking about that, and then it turned into tax returns. It was kind of an interesting turn, the way it was kind of all brought together.
Yes, and Hillary had the opening, when you don't release your tax returns, right? She said, well, what could be in there? Maybe he's not as rich as people say he is. Maybe he owes people money. Maybe he pays no federal income tax. So she made up stuff. I almost cursed there because I'm getting angry. But he could have turned it around on her. What's in the emails that she didn't release? Maybe it said, read my article, by the way, I'm BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us, and I wrote a bunch of stuff that could be in Hillary Clinton's emails. That Trump could have made up stuff too. What could be in her emails? What could be in her health records that she won't release? I would have turned it around, and I really thought Trump was going to do that, and he did not.
Well, let's get into the whole flow of this analysis here, because it started off with a sequence talking about the tax plans and how they differed. So let's get a little substantive, and then let's see how it was transitioned. Here's Hillary Clinton talking about her tax plan in comparison to Donald Trump's.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything that's ever happened.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not? Just join the debate by saying more crazy things.
Okay, let's stop it right there. That is technically a good drop-in by Donald Trump. And then she kind of zinged him back.
It was, but Donald Trump was operating under the curse of knowledge, which we've discussed on this show many times. Trump has a lot of things rattling around in his head, and I'm sure he did some debate prep, not enough. Where I believe he was going with that, but he didn't close the loop because he assumed everybody knew what he was talking about was, why not blame Hillary Clinton for that? Because he kind of touched on it later in the debate. He said, you've been in there for 30 years. You've been in the Washington circles. You've been in the Senate. All these ideas you haven't implemented. So why not blame you? That's what he really meant to say. He just didn't expand on it. Good little zinger, but he could have went on. He could have stole the mic for a few minutes and went off on that.
It would have been good, but he didn't do it, and this is what ended up happening.
Now, let me say,
there's nothing crazy about not letting our companies bring their money back into their country.
This is Secretary Clinton's 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, well, let's start the clock again, Lester.
Let's start the clock like she's in control of the room.
She's running the debate.
But you know what? This is actually a good debate tactic. Let's be honest.
She out-debated him.
Absolutely. Let's keep going.
Looked at your tax proposals. I don't see changes in the corporate tax rates or the kinds of proposals you're referring to that would cause the repatriation, bringing back of money that's stranded overseas. I happen to support that. I happen to support that in a way that will actually work to our benefit. But when I look at what you have proposed, you have what is called now the Trump loophole, because it would so advantage you and the business you do. You've proposed an approach that has a $4 billion tax benefit for your family. And when you look at what you are proposing, it is, as I said, trumped up trickle down. Trickle down did not work. It got us into the mess we were in 2008 and 9. Slashing taxes on the wealthy hasn't worked, and a lot of really smart, wealthy people know that. And they are saying, hey.
You want to stop it for a second, Russ. Go ahead.
Trickle down was a name given to Reagan's tax plan in the 80s. And I don't know what history books Hillary has read, but throughout the 80s into her husband's presidency, the economy boomed. So when she said it didn't work, history says otherwise, Miss Clinton. It did work.
Russ, real quick, what was the tax plan? She didn't give one.
She didn't give a tax plan either. The only tax plan that she has, which is just a liberal tax plan, is I'm going to raise taxes on the wealthy, and the only hard number I've seen out there is she's going to raise the estate tax to 65% on some people. 65. The estate tax, real quick, people, is when you die, your property and anything of value gets passed on to your children. She wants a tax that is 65% for the upper brackets. It's already at 50% for most. That's insanity. Imagine you die, and your house has to be sold to pay the taxes on it, which are 50%. of the value of that home. That's insane.
We'll let the clip finish out and then we'll come back to it.
We need to do more to make the contributions we should be making to rebuild the middle class. I don't think top-down works in America. I think building the middle class, investing in the middle class, making college debt-free so more young people can get their education, helping people refinance their debt from college at a lower rate. Those are the kinds of things that will really boost the economy. Broad-based, inclusive growth is what we need in America, not more advantages for people at the very top.
Lots of buzzwords, nothing substantive whatsoever. Talking about monetary policy, basically. Talking about
Ms.
what
Clinton,
the Fed should do.
I've created tens of thousands of jobs, Ms. Clinton. You want to talk about reviving the middle class and reviving our economy? You do that by creating jobs. You name me any society throughout all of humankind's history that have ever taxed their way to prosperity. Just show me where one has ever existed where the government of that time or that nation taxed its way to prosperity. It has never happened. It will never happen. Next question, Lester. That should have been Trump's answer.
Instead, this discussion occurred immediately after Trump's response.
Well, I think you've just seen another example of bait and switch here. For 40 years, everyone running for president has released their tax returns. You can go and see nearly, I think, 39, 40 years of our tax returns, but everyone has done it. We know the IRS has made clear there is no prohibition on releasing it when you're under audit. So you've got to ask yourself, why won't he release his tax returns? And I think that...
Hold on one cotton picking minute here. Of course there's no prohibition on releasing your tax returns and making them public. However, if there are things being audited and there are changes that are going to be coming, why open yourself up to the attack of releasing your tax returns while you're being audited? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not releasing my tax returns because I'm worried about what's in it. I'm not releasing my tax returns because I don't trust the government going through them and something happening later on. Because of the system that's been developed under the Obama administration of going after conservatives.
But don't fall into the trap of Trump, because Trump went down this road and he rambled on for minutes about this. That's a good statement, and I would have stopped it right there. And then he touched on this, but I would have went a little deeper. Our resident accountant for the show, Diana Sepulveda, actually concurred with this that night. She said, Clinton goes on in that clip later on. She'll say that maybe he's not as rich as he says he is, and maybe he owes people money. Your tax returns don't show who you owe money to.
No, not at all.
But your financial disclosures to the FEC certainly will. And those are public, and those Trump did submit. So all of his financial records, which go way more in-depth than tax records, are already filed with the FEC. But more importantly, I would have hit her back even harder, Gene. I would have said, Ms. Clinton, you made over $200 million last year. Where did you make your money? How are you rich? I have a business. I employ people. Where did you get your money from? Is it from the Clinton Foundation? Is it from making speeches? Where are you getting your money from?
Yeah, is it from the Saudi princes and royalty that gave you that money, who are still stoning women that you seem to champion?
How much have I given to charity, Miss Clinton? I guarantee you I've given more to charity than you. How much have you given to charity, Mrs. Clinton? Where can we find that information out, Mrs. Clinton? Trump could have went down any one of these roads and slammed her.
Let's go on with this clip and see what Hillary said for later on here.
There may be a couple of reasons. First, maybe he's not as rich as he says he is.
Here's what Russ was saying.
Maybe he's not as charitable as he claims to be. Third, we don't know all of his business dealings, but we have been told through investigative reporting that he owes about $650 million to Wall Street and foreign banks. Or maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes, because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax. So if he's paid zero, that means zero for troops, zero for vets, zero for schools or health. And
I'm sorry, I gotta pause it. What is this zero for troops, zero for vets nonsense?
Maybe Hillary doesn't want us to see her emails because she has improper conduct towards Uma Abedin in there. Maybe Hillary doesn't want us to see her emails because it's pay for play when she was Secretary of State and her husband was giving speeches in the very same country she was visiting as Secretary of State. Maybe she doesn't want us to see her emails because fill in the effing blank, people. That's what Trump's response should have been. Trump took these punches and didn't counterpunch effectively.
I'm just trying to understand how she's making all these jumps and nobody's calling her on it. It's absurd to say 0 for the troops, 0 for the. I mean, come on, man. Let's just keep it going. We're going to keep the mics hot while this is going.
I think probably he's not all that enthusiastic about having the rest of our country see what the real reasons are, because it must be something really important, even terrible, that he's trying to hide.
Really important or terrible that she's trying to hide possibly in her medical records. She talked about presidential candidates routinely releasing their tax records. Well, I seem to remember John McCain running for office, and a lot of pressure on him to release his medical records because he was up there.
I remember that too.
I seem to remember George Bush being pressured to release his medical records, especially after he choked on that pretzel in the White House.
Even a vice presidential candidate, Dick Cheney, was forced to release his medical records.
Yeah, so what is she trying to hide? Maybe there's stuff in there that she doesn't want the American people to see. What is Hillary trying to hide in her medical records and emails? Come on, Donald Trump, where were you? Where were you at this debate?
All right, let's let it keep going.
In the financial disclosure statement, they don't give you the tax rate. They don't give you all the details that tax returns would. And it just seems to me that this is something that the American people deserve to see, and I have no reason to believe that he's ever going to release his tax returns, because there's something he's hiding. And we'll keep guessing at what it might be that he's hiding.
Jane, please. I'm about to leave the studio. I can't take this anymore. She is accusing Donald Trump of hiding information. She is.
Yes, the only known national security threat on the stage who lied about a myriad of things.
It gets better, Gene, by the way. Later on, I know you have these clips when they start talking about cybersecurity. The hypocrisy, you could start with a spoon, my brother. It's insane.
I like the way you say that. Let's just let her finish it out and then we're going to go to something else.
The question is, were he ever to get near the White House, what would be those conflicts? Who does he owe money to? Well, he owes you the answers to that, and he should provide them.
I'm sorry. If he gets into the White House, what conflicts are there from the woman who took money from other countries that don't have the same interests as us? Are you kidding me? If that wasn't just a wide open shot that could be taken right at the end of her comments.
From the woman?
Secretary Clinton, you're talking about conflict of interest when your foundation is taking dark money from all these nations that are doing these horrible things to women, children, and homosexuals?
She's talking about what if a man named Donald Trump got into the White House, what kind of conflict would there be? She was married to a man who was impeached!
Listen, the coat of arms for the Clinton family says conflict of interest on it!
He was disbarred in his home state!
Oh my God.
He was accused of raping multiple women!
But listen, the attacks didn't end there. Because right after Trump's response, this came out.
If your main claim to be president of the United States is your business, then I think we should talk about that. You know, your campaign manager said that you built a lot of businesses on the backs of little guys. And indeed, I have met a lot of the people who were stiffed by you and your businesses, Donald. I've met dishwashers, painters, architects, glass installers, marble installers, drapery installers, like my dad was.
I have played dominoes in Harlem. Where were you?
But it gets worse, Jimmy. This is where Donald Trump really...
This is the most ridiculous thing. Hillary Clinton has not met a painter unless they were painting her house.
But little known fact is that Donald Trump had a Benghazi family member in the audience. Why didn't he point that out? I have met people that you have lied to, Mrs. Clinton, saying that a YouTube video was the cause of this person's husband's death. And that she's right in the audience over there. Everybody give her a round of applause. He would have devastated her, dude. Devastated her.
Who you refused to pay when they finished the work that you asked them to do. We have an architect in the audience who designed one of your clubhouses at one of your golf courses. It's a beautiful facility. It immediately was put to use, and you wouldn't pay what the man needed to be paid what he was charging you.
Maybe he didn't do a good job, and I was unsatisfied with his work, which our country should do too.
The thousands of people that you have stiffed over the course of your business not deserve some kind of apology from someone who has taken their labor, taken the goods that they produced, and then refused to pay them? I can only
listen. You want to talk about apologies, Secretary Clinton? How about that family member right there, like you were pointing out, Russ? How about that apology, Secretary Clinton? You want to talk about money. How about the life that you cost here, and the cascading effect that you had on lives of this family?
How about taking their labor and taking the goods they produce? She accused Trump of that. Madam Secretary, you've been in government your entire adult life. All government does is take people's labor in the form of taxes. That's all the average person has to offer in this society is their labor. They don't produce products, they don't sell products, they give their labor for money. And the government takes that, Madam Secretary, and you've been involved in taking it. You're standing on the stage tonight talking about taking even more of it.
That beautiful red pantsuit came from, most likely, money that you didn't really earn as an entrepreneur.
And let's go back to it, Madam Secretary. Where did you earn your money for the past few years? How did you become a multi-hundred millionaire through government service? How have you and your husband become so rich?
Man, I wish we were running for president.
Say that I'm certainly relieved that my late father never did business with you. He provided a good middle-class life for us, but the people he worked for, he expected the bargain to be kept on both sides. And when we talk about your business, you've taken business bankruptcy 6 times. There are a lot of great business people that have never taken bankruptcy once.
You would know that how? How would you know about good business people, Ms. Clinton? How many businesses have you started? How many successful businesses have you started? How many people have you employed without paying them from the government coffers?
I would suggest that many of the most successful people in business have failed in business as well before becoming that success, and probably took advantage of this country's bankruptcy laws.
And I would argue that Donald Trump is overwhelmingly more successful than a failure at business. Like you said, they failed a couple of times, but when you weigh it out, the man had much more successful business enterprises than failures. Ms. Clinton, how many have you had?
You call yourself the king of debt. You talk about leverage. You even at one time suggested that you would try to negotiate down the national debt of the United States. Well, sometimes there's not a direct transfer of skills from business to government, but sometimes what happened in business would be really bad for government.
Let's let Mr.
And
Trump
we need to be very clear about that.
About negotiating the debt.
Say that again? Say it one more time.
First of all, what's so outrageous about proposing to negotiate down the debt? If we owe someone lots of money, we can offer a negotiation, negotiate it down. Look, you can wait 10 years and get the full value of the treasury bond you bought, or we'll give you half of it up front and call it a day. You can negotiate stuff down. There's no reason why the government can't do that.
It may be more complicated than the average citizen negotiating.
It might be more complicated than the average politician would be able to comprehend.
But this whole idea of principles of business cannot work in government, I don't buy that, because it has been proven time and time again that businesses must run efficiently. Government does not necessarily have to. So when you can say that principles of business will not apply, how can that be when government runs poorer than the average business?
But you're right. Trump should have said, of course you would think that, Ms. Clinton.
Because you've only been in government.
Exactly. You've never had to produce anything. You've never had to keep to a budget. You've never had to spend your own money or risk losses that affect people's real lives and real bottom lines. You've never had to experience these things. So I'm not surprised that you don't think business principles would work in government, because you're a leftist maniac.
We're at halftime here at Behind Enemy Lines. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. I'm Gene, he's Russ. And while we got you listening, check us out at www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you miss any part of this live show, Tuesdays 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Spreaker, you can check us out at any one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WJHC 107.5 FM, Jasper, Florida, WDDQ 92.1 FM, Adel, Georgia, both part of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Check them out at rednationrising.us. You can also check us out on KLRN Radio, High Plains Radio, and Sackheads Media, the Internet's conservative radio network, ICRN, and Lanterns Radio at lanterns.buzz. But if you miss us even then on any one of our rebroadcast outlets, check us out on demand as a podcast at iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbay, Player FM, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, and iHeartRadio. I think I made it through them all, Russ, and we did it with a straight face. I know. Imagine that during a debate. Alright, so moving on. Folks, what we're discussing is how Donald Trump should have responded to a lot of what Hillary Clinton put out there. The crap, the nonsense, the non-answers that Hillary Clinton put over on him and put over on America to make America think that she actually said things that make her look presidential. Went through her tax plan. Her tax plan was doing nothing but criticizing the other side without putting forth a plan. And, you know, the last two clips that we talked about in furtherance of that, talking about Donald Trump's tax returns and his own business acumen, had nothing to do with what makes her a good candidate for president. And there was nothing substantive there whatsoever. Nothing.
I forgot one thing, Gene, if you will just indulge me for 1 second.
Certainly. I've been doing it for the past couple of years.
Lester Holt, another question he ambushed Donald Trump with towards the end, was that you have commented, he brought up the women's issue again, and he said you had made a comment in the past that Hillary Clinton does not look presidential. And then he had to defend that for minutes.
But that's taken out of context. Had nothing to do with her look as a female, had to do with her not being presidential.
That's what he tried to claim.
Being a criminal.
That's what he tried to claim, but I would have said, listen, don't take me out of context, here's right. But let me ask you something, Madam Secretary. Why is your podium a different size than mine? Oh, maybe some of you don't know this. Hillary Clinton
is currently lying to you right now.
Lying to you as we speak. She requested and received a smaller podium than Donald Trump. Why, you might ask? Because she wanted to look more presidential. Donald Trump is 6'3", and Hillary Clinton is 5'4". So, if they had the same size podium, Donald Trump would look taller, thus more presidential. So, looks apparently do matter to Mrs. Clinton. And I would have brought that up at that opportune moment when I asked the question about looking presidential. It's obviously important to her.
Well, here's something else that I think that was, I guess, manipulated by Clinton. And that is the line of questioning when we started talking about stop, question, and frisk. And while we don't have the clip of it, because again, we're ignoring the Donald Trump responses and providing our own in response to Secretary Clinton, Lester Holt followed up by talking about stop, question, and frisk being, or as he calls it, stop and frisk, being unconstitutional in New York based upon the ruling by
he said unconstitutional, period.
Unconstitutional, period.
And this is where Donald Trump...
And then he qualified it and said it was unconstitutional in New York. It has not been brought up in a federal court, by the way. Just saying. And by the way, what Donald Trump was trying to say in response to that was that Judge Shira Scheindlin, who has a clear anti-cop record and was later resigned from the bench subsequent to that decision, and basically forced out because of rumors of outrageous conduct in actually litigating from the bench in other cases. He clearly said that decision was being appealed and that the appeal was stopped by a change of office from one mayor to another. And the fact checkers out there said, well, no, the decision still stands. But what you don't understand is that if that was going forward, legal experts agree that the decision on stop, question, and frisk was on very untenable legal grounds. But the fact checkers don't care about that nonsense. They just care to make Donald Trump look bad about his knowledge of stop, question, and frisk.
And I get that, Gene. And Donald Trump sort of went down that road. Like I said, he fell into it. He fell into it. But I would have quickly said what you just said again, but then counterpunched. And I would have said, excuse me, I don't even accept the premise of this question. Am I to believe that the majority of Americans are implicitly racist? Am I to believe that? Am I to believe that the majority of people sitting in this audience are racist? Am I to believe that the majority of police officers in this country go to work every day with racist thoughts in their head? I don't accept that, Miss Clinton, and I don't think the American people do either, and quite honestly, I'm very offended.
Listen, there's about 6 minutes on Hillary Clinton on race relations, since we do have the foremost expert on race relations here on the show, Russ Gallo. We're going to take this step at a time. You're jumping a little bit ahead, pal. I know you're hot.
I'm coming in hot.
I know Juliet Whiskey Delta coming in hot on this one. I get it. But let's go through it all so we can meticulously answer Hillary Clinton and watch how she manipulates a question about race relations, turning it into a question about gun control and all other issues that she wanted to talk about.
Race remains a significant challenge in our country. Unfortunately, race still determines too much. Often determines...
Like what?
Like who the president might be. Race determines that, huh? We're a god-awful place, this country.
Let's continue, and we'll keep the mics on for Russ.
Where people live determines what kind of education in their public schools they can get, and yes, it determines how they're treated in the criminal justice system.
I just want to pause for 1 second to remind people that when we're talking about race relations, we're dealing a lot about urban politics, we're dealing a lot with inner city politics, and Russ, can you just remind me who has predominantly, for the past 50 years, been in control of urban policy, urban renewal, and urban politics in our greater metropolitan areas across the nation?
Every single one of them, without an exception, pretty much.
Predominantly,
a nice SAT word, Democratic administrations. And she said there, too often determines the treatment in the criminal justice system.
No. Listen.
In black and Hispanic neighborhoods, crime rates are high. When they get arrested by the police, in many cases, majority police departments, they go through the judicial system. Gene, according to the Constitution, you have the right to a jury of...
Your peers.
Your peers. In a majority of these cases, folks, the jury pool is selected from the very same people, from the very same neighborhoods that commit these crimes. I'm not saying that the jurors are criminals, though in some cases they are.
No, you're saying the jurors are racist, aren't they? That's what you're saying.
So the black jurors on the black juries with the black defendants and the black judges and the Democrats and the black mayors are all racist.
Stop with the facts.
Everyone in our country is racist except Hillary Clinton.
Stop with the racism. Let the secretary speak.
Just seen those two tragic examples in both Tulsa and Charlotte. And we've got to do something.
Wait. Charlotte. The tragic examples in Tulsa and Charlotte. Tulsa we debated. And it's open for interpretation still. It's going to go through the judicial system.
It's going through the judicial system. So how are we making a conclusion about it, by the way?
But Charlotte?
Charlotte, yes. Let's talk about Charlotte for a second.
Charlotte, tragic in what sense, Miss Clinton? A man with a gun is told by a black police officer. A black man with a gun is told by another black man with a gun who happened to be a police officer to drop the gun 8 or 9 times before being shot himself. What's tragic about that? What went wrong there, Miss Clinton? Who was wrong there? Why does Hillary Clinton always rush to judgment on police shootings? And yet, we have to wait for all the facts to come in when it's a Muslim terrorist.
Or more importantly, wait for all the facts to come in when Hillary Clinton's being investigated.
And why wasn't that Donald Trump's response? I was like, you're quick to judge the police.
And yet you told us all that,
to wait for the facts.
Wait for the facts on your email.
Every one of the responses we've given so far, Donald Trump would have devastated her campaign. She would be done. It would be a 70-30 race today.
And we're saying all this, folks, without any real prep.
I have a blank pad in front of me.
Russ and I did not talk about this. I'm playing all these clips at random for Russ as they're coming out, and he's given his spot reaction. So am I. I haven't heard this stuff.
And by the way, Ted Cruz would have been a much better debater against Hillary Clinton. I'm just putting it out there. I love Donald Trump to death, but Donald Trump is not a true conservative in the sense that we all know conservatives to be.
You want to talk about a real debate prep?
So a lot of these things, you know what I mean? So a lot of these things don't come naturally to Donald Trump, and he doesn't like to do prep, so he just didn't, have the comebacks at the hip.
All right, back to Hillary Clinton telling us why we're all racist.
At the same time, we have to restore trust between communities and the police. We have to work to make sure that our police are using the best training, the best techniques, that they're well prepared.
And those best techniques, Hillary knows them. Hillary and Barack Obama are the two smartest people in the world when it comes to every topic out there, because they have so much experience in everything. What techniques, Hillary? What went wrong in the Charlotte shooting? I would have cut her off. What went wrong in the Charlotte shooting? What should have happened there, Hillary? What tactic or technique that you know of, since you're an expert in law enforcement now, would have worked better?
we're going to get through this clip, and then we're going to do something we've never done on the show before. Let's let this finish out, Russ, and I got a surprise.
Shirtless selfies. We did that last week.
No. It's better than shirtless selfies.
Okay.
Yeah, let's let it play out.
To use force only when necessary. Everyone should be respected by the law, and everyone should respect the law. Right now, that's not the case in a lot of our neighborhoods. So I have, ever since the first day of my campaign, called for criminal justice reform. I've laid out a platform that I think would begin to remedy some of the problems we have in the criminal justice system.
You know, I'm actually going to stop it here because I want to talk about another Clinton's plan about criminal reform and addressing the treatment of minorities and the law. And I'm going to do it by playing a clip that I found from, of all places, the Young Turks.
Who are they?
They are probably the pinnacle of progressive online media. 1 billion views on YouTube. The guy who got into a fight with Alex Jones at the RNC, for those of you who may not know. I want you to listen to this, and I want you to think about the person who's been saying since day one on her campaign she wants to talk about criminal justice reform. Listen to these comments by then First Lady Hillary Clinton. You'll be shocked.
Never the First Lady, but go ahead.
You'll be shocked.
She's like the 5th or 6th.
Bill Clinton wanted to pass a crime legislation, and it was 3 strikes bill. So if you have 3 felonies, you get a life sentence. Hillary Clinton was the First Lady and aggressively lobbied for it. She gave a speech in '94 defending this piece of legislation. Now, she had many different defenses to it, and some of it were good parts of the bill, including community policing. And here in this clip, she's going to be talking about gangs, not just all kids, not just black kids. But when they talk about super predators, they almost always meant young African-American kids. And so here is Hillary Clinton talking about what should be done with them.
Not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
Bring them to heel. Very rarely was the term super predator ever used in reference to white kids. Perhaps sometimes in reference to the Columbine kids, but almost always when talking about black kids in inner cities who are in gangs. So I'm giving you the full context. It wasn't just that she was talking about super predators, and it wasn't just regular old kids walking down the street. But was it racially used, that term? Yes, it most certainly was. It was used over and over by Republicans, adopted by the Clintons to scare everybody. Oh, watch out for the super predators. They have no conscience. They have no empathy. We got to bring them to heel. So is that quote accurate? Hell yes, it's accurate. That's why we went and got the video for you guys. So I remember when we first ran the story based on a story by Michelle Alexander, who's one of the leading African-American scholars in this country. People couldn't believe the quote. Well, here she is saying it. And if it wasn't clear enough, here it is again and again.
Not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. Not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
Bring them to heel. And by the way, let's be clear. Columbine, of course, happened after '94. So when they were talking about this, it was almost completely used for African-American kids. If you think this is the family that was so great to African-Americans, that's one opinion, but you just heard her yourself. Your call.
Every now and then, people find, even a blind squirrel finds a nut in the winter, right? Hillary Clinton, who is the queen now of the black community, the champion of, let's say, race relations and all this nonsense, criminal justice reform.
I ain't nowhere's tired, Gene. I ain't nowhere's tired.
No, we have that clip somewhere too. I gotta find it. I didn't think about that one. But not for nothing. The woman who called black children super predators with no conscience that must be brought to heel. Brought to heel, by the way, folks, not H-E-A-L, H-E-E-L, like you would in disciplining your animal, your dog.
Heel.
Come to heel. That's what that meant.
By the way, Did you notice Hillary's voice and her enunciation was so different back then?
Well, I mean, listen, it's 20 years ago. I'm not going down that route.
Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, a hell of a thing.
Let's go to Hillary Clinton today and continue on this race relations train.
It's really unfortunate that he paints such a dire, negative picture of black communities in our country. You know, the vibe.
Said the woman that wanted to bring young black youth to heal. Just saying.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. The vast majority of black children are born out of wedlock. The highest crime rates in every urban area are in black neighborhoods. The highest dropout rate in high schools are in the black community. I'm sorry. How would you not have a negative view of the black community at this point? And the Democrats are fostering this behavior.
And yet Donald Trump doesn't, because I've seen more video of him interacting in black communities, going to Flint, Michigan, going to different churches, meeting with black ministers than I've seen Hillary Clinton do.
And that is because he is acknowledging, and he says it several times throughout the debate to his credit, that the African American community, quote unquote, in this country has been given a raw deal.
By Democrats.
The reason they're in the plight that they're in is because of the medicine that the Democratic Party has been prescribing to these people for decades now. And he's 100% right. And it's their own fault for block voting for Democrats all these years.
You know, I want to continue down this road, but we're running a little low on time, and I want to make sure that we're able to get to say everything we want to say. Folks, if you missed a debate like me, look it up on YouTube, find the transcript of it. More importantly, I find that when you find the transcript of a debate, you get more of a sense of what's substantive and what's not than listening to inflections of voice and head nods and gestures on a screen. Once you boil it down to paper, you really understand who said what. So I encourage you to do that. But I want to get to her answer about the birther issue, Russ. We got to talk about this. And by the way, we're going commercial free this show, as you can see. So just, folks, check out our friends at Less Government, More Fun at lessgovmorefun.com, and check out goonrecord.com and give us your opinion of the debates. Check them out. They're great sites. We love them. And listen, we apologize for not playing the ads, but so much stuff to talk about. The birther question, which Donald Trump rightly tried to hang around Hillary Clinton because of the actions of her campaign.
He fumbled.
In 2007, but he fumbled.
And Lester Holt brought this up, by the way.
Of course, because this wasn't just on its own popping up. Here's what Hillary Clinton had to say. To me, one of the most hypocritical answers that you could possibly give, given the facts of the situation.
Clearly, as Donald just admitted, he knew he was going to stand on this debate stage and Lester Holt was going to be asking us questions, so he tried to put the whole racist birther lie to bed.
So she just called Donald Trump a racist on a debate stage. Just pointing that out right now.
Sure.
If that would have been me, I would have blown up right there. How dare you call me a racist? How dare you, Secretary Clinton? When you're calling black children super predators and having to come to heel, you're calling me a racist.
Do we have more of that clip?
Of course we do.
All right, I'm going to jump on it after.
I've got tons more. Here you go.
But it can't be dismissed that easily. He has really started his political activity based on this racist lie that our first black president was not an American citizen. There was absolutely no evidence for it, but he persisted. He persisted year after year because...
And we'll let her finish in a second. Russ?
Okay, so there was absolutely no evidence of it.
Except for a photo back in 2007 that was released by the Clinton campaign showing Barack Obama in traditional African garb. Just saying.
He went to a madrasa when he was a child in Indonesia. He spent the vast majority of his childhood living outside of the United States.
His book was being sold based on, I guess, the apparent lie that he was not born here.
I believe the forward of the book basically said, or on the jacket of the book, it actually said that he was foreign born. The man never released, he's talking about transparency, he never would release much of his college information, his application, and other information that might have shown country of origin. And Donald Trump should have said these things, and he should have said, although I'm satisfied now, after being presented with some evidence, I take it very seriously, the qualifications to become the President of the United States. I take it very seriously, and you're damn right I was curious. The people in your party, Ms. Clinton, question the qualifications of not only Ted Cruz, a Hispanic American in the United States Senate, but John McCain, a war hero, whose father was an admiral and he was a POW himself in Vietnam, and your party questioned whether or not he was born in the United States and eligible to run for president.
And not only that, I got the job done. I got to the bottom of it. Where were you in vindicating the president?
When your campaign brought it up to begin with in 2000.
I finished what you started. All right, look, we can go on. I think we hit the birth issue really well. Cybersecurity.
That's where I really wanted to go.
This is your main event here, Russ. Here she is.
Well, I think cybersecurity, cyber warfare, will be one of the biggest challenges facing the next president, because clearly we're facing at this point two different kinds of adversaries. There are the independent hacking groups that do it mostly for commercial reasons.
And she would know.
And she would know. I would have jumped in, damn the moderator, and say, Madam Clinton, I cannot even stand on this debate stage with such a hypocrite. You are disqualified from speaking on this topic. You have no expertise in cybersecurity.
If anything, you've proven that you are the least qualified when it comes to cybersecurity.
By far the least qualified. I don't think they're, and at the risk of sounding like Donald Trump,
write a manual on what not to do for cybersecurity,
there is no one less qualified than you.
You'd be on the cover of that manual.
I mean, Gene, honestly, the hypocrisy. I'm getting like chills. Like I think I'm getting sick. I might be coming.
Where was Donald Trump on this? Because listen.
And folks, we're not playing Donald Trump for a reason.
Yeah,
he didn't hit back on any of these. We're hitting back for him.
That's kind of the problem here with the Trump campaign. We're running low on time, and I want to let this clip play a little bit more so Russ's blood pressure can boil up to a final thought.
Try to steal information that they then can use to make money. But increasingly, we are seeing cyber attacks coming from states, organs of states.
Like nations that donated to the Clinton Foundation?
Like you were the Secretary of State and you were sending classified information on your private server. You hack, literally.
The most recent and troubling of these has been Russia. There's no doubt now that Russia has used cyber attacks against all kinds of organizations in our...
But the reset button...
Hillary, we were going to start a new era with Russia when you became Secretary of State.
I thought you took care of that. Oh, I guess you failed.
I thought you and Obama had this whole thing with Russia wrapped up.
Failed. Again.
Now they're hacking... Wait, you're telling us that the Russians and the Chinese hack our computer systems? Why were you sending classified information on your private server?
Why did you move to a private server if you knew this?
Well, listen, things that make you go,
Yeah, I can't play this anymore. The hypocrisy,
I'm sick.
The hypocrisy is too much.
I'm physically sick.
As Russ Gallo throws down my $200 beats.
I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, that debate was painful to watch. Trump definitely had some good points, and he held his own, and I get it. He's not a politician. It's his first one-on-one debate. I get all that. But come on, man. You're from New York. You let this bee get away with a lot.
And you know what? I think for me, for having not listened to the debate, the points that we brought up... First of all, thank God I wasn't watching the debate. My television would have been thrown on the floor. Second of all, these are what we call, hanging curveballs.
Meatballs.
These aren't exactly hard pitches to hit. This is teed up for you. And I don't get it. When the Young Turks have more research, have more preparation than the person on the stage opposing Hillary Clinton on the debate, I have to question, what were they thinking?
And I think that Hillary Clinton early on felt Trump out, became emboldened, and went in for the kill. And Trump was utterly unprepared.
Either that or the little voice in her ear told her what to do. Have you heard that one?
I have, Gene, and if you watch her response...
Tinfoil hat time, folks. People think that there was a wire running down Hillary Clinton's back into a little box.
She was speaking slowly, and when you pause between words, it could be because you're waiting for the person on the other end of that earpiece to finish their sentences. That's one conspiracy theory. And another one that was just tweeted out recently, there's still pictures of a man taking pieces of paper off Hillary Clinton's podium and handing them to Lester Holt right before the debate. I don't know what that's all about.
Well, I'd like to know more about that. But unfortunately, folks, we are out of time for this here show. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. Next week, a very special show that we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be away, but there's a rumor that there might be a new person in the captain's chair next week. Russ, would you care to confirm or deny?
I mean, if we could pull it off with the technical aspect, I don't see why not.
All right, looks like Russ Gallo might be taking over the captain's chair next week, folks.
I'm going to have
Should
to
be
get
exciting.
a refill on my blood pressure prescription medication.
It's either going to be exciting or a disaster or an exciting disaster.
Or the finale of Behind Enemy Lines.
But tune in next week to see. Until next week, we're going to shut it down, boys and girls. Russ?
I need a drink, Gene. Shut this thing down.
Good night, folks. Russ, we'll see you next week.
Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. A Rock Radio production. Copyright 2016. Back in 7 days. Out.